So this video I'm going to try to leave a little bit more sensible, more coherent, streamlined than the last one. So I suppose as far as tips go, I could start out with what I think the 3 most important tips for air game and Planetside are going to be. Now I know people have made videos all up and down on this stuff, and the meta changes a little bit here and now, but for the most part these 3 things are going to be your universal targets. 1, obviously, practice. That was the main thing that got me through, was just getting killed over and over until I figured out how not to do that. My story. When I joined Planetside, as far as the air game, I wanted to get into the air game. Oh, I loved the air game so much. But it really turned me off because I was no good at it. I was constantly being killed. I felt like absolute, worthless garbage. But I wanted to get into it so bad that I hung with it. Personally, I took a strategy. I went to interceptor only trying to gank people. I wouldn't say that's a bad thing, but understand you're not going to get too much better only pulling that. You got to learn to 1v1 people, or rather head on. But even with that caveat, only flying interceptor, it was still practice. I got good enough at chasing people down and managing afterburn. I got good enough at it that I wasn't too discouraged to the point that I wouldn't even play. I'd play air game. Eventually, I got to the point. All right, I need to learn to play this game for real. Oh, hey, he's alive. Morning. Bit of a disadvantage around these parts against a scythe, as their slim profile and excellent hover capabilities give them quite the advantage. Ooh, good dodge. Number 2 is frame rate. That is another big one. Practice that's universal. You do anything enough times, you get good at it. But frame rate in air game is a requirement if you want to do decent, if you want to learn correctly. Whoops. I'll take a look at some of my settings. So, I hate doing this. I've got a 1070. I forget my other stats right off the top of my head, but it's a decent little computer. There's not very many games that defeat it when I really need it to. I can play most stuff on medium or ultra if I really put my mind to it. Planetside, I can crank this to most of it if I'm playing on the floor. But playing air game, everything's pretty much goes to low, because when you're just flying around, woodly doodly out there in the middle of nowhere, you get great frames. But even in the air, when you start dive bombing and getting close and you're rendering those floor fights, your frame rate's very likely going to tank. And that cannot happen if you expect to, be at maximum efficiency. Your biggest holdup is easily got to be render quality. That's a very quick and easy one to change. It doesn't require a server restart or a game restart to fix that. So I'd say working with that and just getting to what you like over here. Now obviously you can't go too crazy if you're wanting the best frames you can get, but for dogfighting you really need the best frames you can get. That's what you need. You need your reaction time and your input time to not suck. When you make a decision, it needs to immediately translate into the game. Then you can't do that at 30 frames. If you're on a trash PC, that's a case-by-case basis. You do you. Figure yourself out. I'm not saying it's impossible. For the longest time, I was running like 30 frames, and it was really holding me back from being all I could be. So you really have to be on peak reaction time when dogfighting. Number 3, situational awareness. I think in my last video I had an example of a dude flying right past me, didn't have a care in the world, didn't even look at me.
visual on a mosquito.
He really could have killed me if he really put his mind to it. And there's several different layers of that. You know, right now I'm thinking about, I was looking around, who are the other dogfighters around here? Earlier when I was over here, I was taking note of the player names and their skill levels, and I was documenting those so that if I see anybody of those again, I kind of have an idea of what I'm up against. Ultimately, I keep a good record in my mind. This guy's decent. Pilots that I know are really good, and I know I gotta watch out for. I'm a racer. I just realized that. That happens on Hossin. Don't feel bad. Or even on indoor, you know, smashing into the floor. Don't get discouraged doing that. Everybody does it. Some more than others, but, you know, the best of the best. I've seen people that I look up to bury themselves. It happens. We'll get busted with a rocket. Situational awareness, always moving, you know, knowing that right now I'm in a really vulnerable position with rockets and small arms. Small arms is really good against Reapers, or ESFs rather. That's what I tell everybody, is always shoot at ESFs when they're flying over. Never unlikely that you'll get a pistol kill on a fighter. So I guess, I mean, there's so many, like I say, there's so much to talk about with situational awareness. The only thing I really think to do is just start walking through my stream of consciousness thought process. For example, all this little infantry down here, you know, anytime that this infantry can see you, you're very vulnerable to small arms and primarily missile locks. So you have to be anticipating a way out whenever you make little runs like that right there. Don't give the enemy time to make their own plan to take you out, you know what I mean? But eventually somebody's going to pull a burster max, somebody's going to pull swarm missiles, and if you're not ready for that, you're going to be in a whole lot of trouble. Same thing with pilots, really good pilots. What they would do is they wouldn't get spotted yet, they'd be on stealth. They'd let me come in for some kind of a engagement like this right here. Let me get good, slow, and comfortable, and then closest they could without their engines giving them away, and open up. Deal as much of that initial damage as they possibly could, and then have that advantage for the following engagement. So those are the 3 primary objectives that I believe you need to shoot for to increase your skills as a pilot. Just die a lot, to be honest, and don't feel bad about it. I'll try to push more of these videos out talking about different situations and items and other bippity bits about Planetside Air game. So you guys head along. Now's the time to be playing. I'm sure you keep hearing that, but really get out there and revive this niche. I'm going to play some other live commentary from here from a previous session with little hints and tips and random thoughts, so stick around for that if you want, but good luck. This guy's going to start bursting away. He knows he made a mistake. Don't ram into your teammates. You know, let them have the kill before you hit somebody. That's just, you know, common courtesy. That guy probably could have used half a lesson on awareness. He went immediately straight to engaging people over this big open territory without realizing we got 2 or 3 Reavers. Like I said a second ago, there's so many different layers to situational awareness. It could be its own topic. Don't make yourself an easy target. Whoops. Don't worry, we're new conglomerate. That's acceptable. Encouraged even. So, I like this little loadout for anti-ground. This is a wonderful, like the apex anti-infantry tool. But it's garbage against air vehicles. It really is. And you can make it work against, you know, a pilot who doesn't really know what they're doing. But you get somebody who's remotely competent, and you're going to be in a severe disadvantage. These really carry you over the. Because none of these other options really give you a good, dedicated air-to-air strategy. I mean, you could use Tomcats, but, you know, it even tells you right there in the description now, less effective against smaller ones. Used to, you could probably get away with just using these, but not now. Not against a decent pilot. You're just as well, you know, going with breaker rockets or, you know, Hornet missiles and the shotgun. We don't talk about Coyote missiles. But these new worms are effective enough at anti-air, or I'm sorry, air-to-air, that I think it offsets the Mustang's inability. I absolutely love these things so much. I'm so glad that this is a new item. But for this situation, we're not able to get close enough in to do a lot of anti-infantry damage. What's going on is they've got a lot of anti-air and even a lot of air just covering the area. So I'm gonna go with a Mustang. Sometimes I don't go with a very big zoom optic unless I'm 100% sure I'm only fighting ground vehicles, because it can really screw you up, you know, trying to aim with like a massive zoom. And this is my second account. I started off, you know, on a very quirky account out of the gate, but I didn't get too far with it. So most of this is, you know, my legitimate progress in life. But, you know, big zoom optics, disgusting for anti-air. I'd rather just sit with the default, to be honest. On my Interceptor, I do sit with the default zoom, as in no zoom. And I just, you know, I learned to gauge it from there. But, you know, a little 1.25 is not too bad. For anti-ground, this being my ground pounding slot, I'd take breaker rockets. But right now, I'm kind of feeling like as many vehicles as they have, we'll roll with something like a tank buster, which is going to be, you know, zoom in, hit, get away. I'm not even go composite armor. So right now, we're running the brand new cute little dolly cannons. Oh man, I love these things. Don't seem to be any attachments. I haven't researched into whether there's going to be or not, but for now I'm just safely assuming no. We're also running air hammer, trying to Arax these things, just playing dirty with the air hammer. Oh, I got so many slash tails. It was beautiful, but I felt pretty bad. I won't lie. Oh, that cheeky booger. He's gonna do it again, watch. I forget where that pad is. Right there. I meant to do that. But let me see if I can't pick off a few more of these poor goons, and then there's a mine. This match has been particularly spot on. Just pop that pad and you'll pick up little explosive kills or whatever. Sometimes, you know, you'll surprise an infiltrator. Well, this guy's done for. You better go inside. So I've been playing this game. Shucks, I don't know. I'd have to look. I'll look later. Maybe. Playing this game for a while. Year 2 maybe? Year 2 or 3. Loved the infantry. Infantry was great. I've always been a fan of massive, you know, role-play style, immersive, Starship Troopers, science fiction. Absolutely right up my alley. I tried playing Reaver for a little bit because I also love Ace of Combat. Grew up on that. Those other little Tom Cruise flying games. Always been my style, so I thought, well, why not mix the two? I'll try the air game on here, and it is so different. It really is. Holy smokes! Can you chill, fella? It is so different. Ooh. Here, we can practice some of the dogfighting with the worm. They did something to the aerial threat detection. They did something with this latest update, which added the NS ops, and it always shows stuff behind you now, and you cannot get a good gauge on where things actually are. It is relatively miserable, honestly. I found a good look. You're gonna ruin my fun. I'll make you eat them words. Was getting absolutely destroyed anytime I went in the air. But I loved it and I enjoyed it, and I hung with it, and I got eaten and destroyed every freaking time I went up. Absolutely embarrassed. And over time, watching guides, just playing experience, There's a lot of guides, but there's very few like role model-y style anythings. That was a foul couple of shots. And just over time, I kind of got to where I could survive basic encounters in the air. My big strategy was I spawned into... Oh, shoot. I started straight into Racer. And I would play the hit and run game really religiously. I don't want to play that game. Where is he? People really don't like you when you're in ESF. Like this sniper right here. You know, when you spot me, I can hear you, guy. Probably peeing himself. Okay. This guy knows what he's doing. You can usually tell competent pilots pretty quickly. Just from there, I got really lucky. Somebody was with me on that one. They wiggle. They wiggle. They do this maneuver. And they're usually pretty quick on their reverse stuff. Who's doing that? My life was miserable when they first added these stupid little things. There's more than one of them in there. Stop that. The skill difference in pilots, I mean, it's a whole different world up here. Like, I mean, you saw, I just passed a dude, and he didn't even look twice at me. Like in Ace, one of those guys I see out here, you can recognize their names, would have just, you know, clicked on me. And I'd have been dead, and he wouldn't even have bothered him. Soulmeister. Editor. I used to pay a lot of attention to the clan tag, but all the clans have gotten so big, it's not a good determining factor anymore. 2v1s like this, I usually don't encourage, but in big fights, where you really, it can't be helped, where there's a lot of anti-air, there's a lot of, you know, legitimate objective play going on, it really can't be helped. But if we were out somewhere off in the lonely deserts, I would never pull off and help somebody else unless it was like a pilot I really didn't like and really wanted some dirty revenge on. It's fun just to maneuver sometimes. Just to zone out. Oh, good grief! So far, those have been the only things to take me out, and it could be the same guy, and it could very well be in the exact same manner each time. You know, you gotta learn lessons in this game. If you get killed a lot doing something, either stop doing it or find out what's killing you and solve the problem. But don't get farmed. You know, new players do not get farmed, right? If you don't really have a coach with you, if you're dying, if you've got like a death streak of 10, 15 going, back out, rethink your life, situate. Don't fall for the same trick twice. For example, right now what I need to do is I need to know where that tank is. I don't necessarily need to be worried about taking him down. I just need to know, you know, cover my own bases. Know what I need to be afraid of and all that jazz. Did he just shoot at me? Was that him or was that somebody else? I think that was a lightning. I know there's a tank that likes... There he is! That's another thing I love about this game and how it works, being an MMO. Oh, jump out and repair. Oh, jump out and repair. Do it. Repair. There are situations and times where you actually learn people's strategies. Like, there's enough people on, or you see them often enough occasionally, you learn strategies of certain groups clans, people. Oh jeez. I really like this, but I really don't like this, because I'll get popped so easily pulling this crap. But this is the time and thing to do, is when they go in repairing like this, pop those engineers with this easy peasy air cannon for an easy pickup. Looks like he doesn't want to repair. Surely he's not stuck, right? Surely not. Oh, now he's repairing. If I can find him, pick him. He's not worth it. I try not to bully people in this game. If I know somebody's not very good, I try not to, you know, embarrass them or just make their lives miserable. Because, you know, we were all level 5s once. Jeez, you freaking idiot! You goober! Nobody slash tails anything.